just when you went to see her, you were just connected to her. She made you fall in love with her.
I wanted the whole world to know the story about my daughter.
1 minute she was laughing, and 1 minute she was gone.
I really didn't know how much of an inspiration Selena was to a lot of the younger generation.
It was the most emotional experience I've ever had making a film, without question.
If you could look at her little heart and open 2 little doors on her heart, there would be the sunshine right in that heart.
I guess Hollywood must be a small community because the word spread around that Selena's father was there trying to find somebody to do the movie.
At the time, it was imperative that they make this film.
There was a tremendous amount of gossip and news and all kinds of hurtful and crazy things that were coming in the press.
8 books that had been written on her in those 15 months. 3 documentaries and 2 major motion pictures were already in production. And they were doing it all without the permission of the family.
The family was in grief, and yet this was their business. This is how they made a living.
And what we didn't want to happen was to have a misrepresentation of a great artist like Selena and a family member and a family and a culture. And so it kind of forced the family to have to make a hard decision, which was making the movie.
He wanted to make a movie that would immortalize his daughter in a true, positive, and beautiful way. He wanted to celebrate her life, because the sooner you do that, then the sooner you quiet and you put to rest all this negative ugliness.
Mr. Moctezuma Esparza came to my office from California.
What we thought that we could do that could be supportive was to play the role of educating them and to suggest to them that we would be their partners. And you're going to have veto authority over the casting of your daughter, the casting of yourself, the final script, and who the director is.
When I did make the deal with Moctezuma Esparza, a week later, he flies back to Corpus, and who does he bring with him? Gregory Nava.
We talked about what is important in selecting a director, and to be able to identify the personality of the director in the movies.
I remember pulling him out of the office and took him to the other room, and I said, I don't want this guy. He's got an ego problem. And Moctezuma started laughing. He says, Abraham, in Hollywood, everybody has an ego problem. He says, but this is the right guy.
Gregory has a very uplifting and positive quality to his movies, even though some of them deal with very strong, tragic elements.
So he convinced me.
One of the things we did was we ultimately trusted Abraham's judgment and our relationship.
We overcame what most people thought was a fatal contract by working things out in advance so that the studios knew exactly what we were proposing.
Greg came and spent time with us with his little recorder.
I got to know him personally. I can tell you that I love that man.
He took hours and hours and hours of stories that we would tell him of our life and what we would do and how it was.
And I let them give me the gift of what this story was. And certain things came out in doing this that was interesting, you know, and one of them was, of course, the whole issue about Chris and Selena eloping.
When I read the script, there was a part there that I didn't like, and that was where Selena eloped.
Abraham reads the script, and I don't hear anything from him. And so he calls me in to go see him, and I go see him. And
I said, I don't want that in the movie. I want it out.
I told him, I said, you know, this is what really happened.
I said, yeah, but I don't want a young, because Selena had a lot of young kids and teenagers that were fans, and I don't want them thinking that that's the right thing to do, to elope. I don't want it there.
And I said, you know, look, we have to do it this way.
So for the next couple of days, he kept talking to me.
You may think that it makes you look bad, right? But it's what happened, and so therefore you look even better, you know, when you embrace her later.
And finally I said, okay, let's go with it. And I asked him, well, how did you find out about that? He says, because we interviewed Chris.
He had no idea this is what had happened, right? He, up till this moment, thought that Chris had talked her into it.
We knew that the fans were going to examine everything we did very closely from the very beginning. So during pre-production and production, the casting, all of that. We couldn't keep the press away.
What they wanted to do was stir it up. They wanted to create an event in looking for the Selena.
From day one, I wanted to give somebody a chance to be part of the movie.
And so we decided to make a search of 5 cities. We went to Los Angeles and Chicago, San Antonio, Miami, and I just covered New York quickly to see if there was anybody there. And the turnouts were quite amazing.
We were expecting a few hundred people to show up. I think we had 10,000 people in just Los Angeles.
And the characters that turned out were quite amazing as well.
5,000 in Chicago, and another 7,000 or 8,000 in San Antonio.
So what we're gonna do is,
We ended up screen testing, one from Chicago, one from Miami. I found baby Selena in San Antonio, and there were 3 girls here.
And the girl that I wanted was, you had a crew there about maybe 25, 30 people. The guy is over there saying, take number 48. And you could kind of hear a sigh from all the people there. So then Jennifer Lopez's turn came up.
It was quite an elaborate screen test. We had to dance and sing to one of her songs, and then we had to do a few scenes, and it was intense.
Action.
I am so sick of this. I've had enough of this junk. I cannot take it anymore. I am sick and tired of it. I've made up my mind.
you gotta be in El Paso in 12 hours. You should be in a bus by
I don't
now.
care about El Paso, okay? You mean more to me than any gig in El Paso, okay?
If you don't...
And in 3 takes, she had it.
So we looked at the, at the tapes, and Jennifer's was the strongest without any doubt.
After we announced that Jennifer Lopez had been selected to portray Selena, boy, I started getting calls.
The minute I got the part, I had to do this big press conference, which I had never had to do for any part I had ever gotten.
The Mexican press was going to be difficult. We knew this.
How dare you pick a Puerto Rican to play our beloved Selena? And it kind of freaked me out.
There was tons of controversy of the fact that I wasn't Mexican. I just knew it was going to be about proving that I was the right person to do it.
When Jennifer went to the press conference in Mexico and the one up here, she won them over exactly like Selena did.
After she got the part and all that, she came down and spent a couple of days with me.
The dynamic of who she was so shaped by her family and the fact that they were very close. They shared so many intimate things with me, albums and videotapes that they hadn't given to anybody, and her makeup box and how she smelled, everything.
I felt like she was a lot like my sister.
There was something about my spirit and her spirit that were similar.
I had a sectional, and Selena would always come in and prop her feet up a certain way, and I had to throw a little blanket and she would cover herself. I freaked out because Jennifer did the same thing.
There's some similarities that are just really incredible. The way they laugh.
The talk, her body language.
Not only did Jennifer get an opportunity to play her role in the movie, but she also played her role in life. She became a superstar, a super artist, and that's where Selena was going.
I did get to have a couple, maybe 2, I think it was about 4 dinners at my house. Jennifer came over, and Jacob, and Edward, and everybody got to hang out. It was actually a very cool experience. And it was really, really weird, at the same time, to have an actor live with you, and then they're watching how you eat and how you talk.
Yeah, I certainly knew that Eddie would put on the 40, 50 pounds needed.
They ate about 5 to 6 times every day. They'd be here, and they'd be like, we'll be back, we're gonna go eat. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Y'all gonna go eat again?
And they would go out and spend all day together. And Abraham's talking and showing Eddie off to his friends and Corpus and all this stuff. And Eddie, all this time, is studying, you know, Abraham, the way he moves, the way he talks, all the things that he does.
And the easiest part was physical. That's the easiest. But what's hard is the complexity of an individual inside.
He was exactly what he was. You know, he was the father figure on the set to all of us. He had advice when you needed it, put us all in shape when we needed it, and at the same time was a loving figure.
I always crack up every time I see him in one of the shots where he has his little tidy whities on, his calzoncillos on, I think, because that's actually how my dad looks when he gets up.
Jackson, there are a lot of gringos.
Yeah, it was important for people to see how the family was. It even scared me when Edward James Olmos goes,
"That's it! You're fired! Do you hear me? You can ride back to Corpus Christi, but after that,
I was
you're
like, oh,
fired."
that's Dad. He did a really, really good job of Dad.
Well, Abraham's a real strong person, you know, a real strong character, and Edward nailed that.
Because I knew Abraham so well, and I had seen certain things, when I did them, people thought that I was really like, oops, that was a mistake, you know.
You know, one of the things I love about Eddie is that he really understands the importance of spontaneity.
You know, getting off the bus and tripping was one of the moments where people would just like stop and say, oh my God, he slipped.
And then he would fall, and of course you'd get a spontaneous result from either the kids or the people who were around him at the time, and of course it's golden.
Hey, Dad, no way, girls don't play this.
Come on, let me show you real quick.
No, Dad,
Let me
just
show you real quick.
No,
Mijita, this is so good.
Good try. No, Dad, I don't want to. I'm gonna get it. Get it. Abraham, are you okay?
Yeah.
Jackie Guerra, who played me, like she would, you know, fix her cap a certain way, and I'd be like, I do that, and then everybody would tell me, yeah, you do that a lot.
I knew a lot about Suzette as a fan, you know, and I knew a lot about like the way she carried herself, and she's very bubbly and boisterous at times, but there's also a part of her that's very comfortable being behind the scenes.
Believe it or not, I had to do a screen test to act like myself. So I did a screen test, and they figured I don't have that many lines in the movie, and a lot of the stuff that we did in the movie, like the bus scenes and stuff like that, it was pretty much improvised. They're like, okay, do whatever you guys used to do, type of thing.
Chris and I, we stayed together pretty much throughout the whole time of filming. I would spend time in the house that him and Selena lived in. I remember using the bathroom, and I remember looking at the bottom of the mirror in their house, and there were these little red tags. You know those tags that you have in the supermarket that they put the prices on.
She peeled them off, and she put Selena and Chris, and then she put I love you, and it was right there on the sink.
And it just hit me right then and there why I was there. And the reason why I was there was because she wasn't there. So for me, it was no longer about shooting a movie and making a movie. It was about showing the true love that they had together and doing the best that I could to represent that love. From there on, it was an emotional roller coaster.
I spent a lot of time with her because we did a lot of the dancing together. She would ask me, well, what'd y'all do this? How'd y'all do that? Or whatever. You know, she would ask me a lot. And we spent a lot of time in the studio.
I was working on another movie at the time, so I would come and rehearse at night from like 7 to midnight.
I don't think I've ever seen an actor work so hard on achieving a part as Jennifer did doing that part.
I knew that a very big part of who Selena was and what the fans wanted to see and what they were expecting was who she was as a performer, a singer, a dancer. And we had all these things all mapped out.
How does that person move their hands? How does that person sit? How do they blink? How do they mouth words? How do they lip sync? What kind of choreography is it?
We broke everything down step, by hand gesture, by movement. If you match us together, in certain tapes, we're doing the exact same thing.
I tried to make Jennifer improvise a little bit. within a loose structure, so it looked first-time feel. If accidents happened, so much the better. It looks like live concert work. The only real number I think that we did in the purple outfit that we choreographed off the videotape almost step by step to really give her a safety valve, because that was shot in front of 37,000 people.
How important was a wardrobe? It was so important that she had 4 big suitcases that she made poor Chris carry on the bus from underneath all the way on top.
When she did the scene of the opening of the Selena store, she had a jacket on, and it's black, and it's got like gold embroidery, and it's got lions on it. And I go, hey, you wear the same size as Selena? Because I thought it was Selena's jacket. And she laughed, and she goes, no, they replicated it. I'm like, no way. I mean, it was down to the T.
One of her brassieres, one of the cups has all the rhinestones, and one doesn't have all of them. It's kind of like broken off. And people think, oh, cool, she made it like that. No, she ran out of rhinestones. She ran out of rhinestones. She was really mad that day. She's like, I ran out of rhinestones. I don't have any more. But she put it on and made it look cool anyway, man.
The nominees for Best Mexican-American Album are...
I'll never forget when she came out of the trailer when she was wearing the Grammy dress. Literally took me back. I wanted to cry. I thought it was Selena.
When we did the Grammy scene, and Jennifer came out and she was wearing, it was the same dress. We managed to have it remade exactly how it was. I think when they saw her, the same hairstyle, the same dress, it must have been really very hard for them.
There's this one scene that I remember being at the premiere of the movie and seeing it, and it was almost like I got transported back to that day, and I'm watching it like if I'm in the room when it was really happening, and then there's a knock on the door. And I thought, damn it, it's the maids. What are they doing waking me up at this time? I have the do not disturb sign, right? I look through the peephole, and it's her standing there.
What are you doing?
I've had it, Chris. I've had it. I can't take it anymore. That's it. I've made up my mind.
It's 12 hours away. You're supposed to be getting on that bus.
She's talking about we have to get married, or she wanted to get married, and I'm saying, but I don't want to do it this way. I don't think we should do it this way. You deserve to be married, in the right way.
What's the right way?
You know, with you wearing a beautiful white dress and your friends in those different colored dresses.
Bridesmaids, Chris.
And I said, that's the way it should be. And she said, it's never gonna happen that way. And that was like just a ton of bricks fell on me because I knew she was right.
The only way he will know that I am not gonna give you up is if we go out and get married right now. Then he'll have to accept us.
I thought maybe everything, all the turmoil that was going on with her family and I thought maybe optimistically that it would all blow over, And when she told me that, I knew she was right.
What if he doesn't?
But I'll still have you. And you'll have me. There's no king in the world more important than that.
I love you. Let's get married.
Yeah.
That's about the only part of the movie that I can stand to sit through without it being too painful.
How does it feel to be a married man?
Feels great. I like it.
The scene that you see in the movie is exactly, almost verbatim, what Chris told me in that interview. I just took his dialogue that he said, she said this, then I said this, and she said this, and I said this. And I just, boom, it's in the film.
Chris never visited the set except one time.
I think that was a setup. Because he's like, dude, can you come to the set?
There was one time where I had to convince him to come down, and they were going to shoot a close-up of my hands doing this amazing riff on the guitar.
Man, you need to come out here. You need to come check it out, you know? Come see how we're doing it. I'm like, I don't really want to go, dude, you know?
And now I had been researching and studying, and Chris would stand in front of me and I'd stand in front of him, and I would mimic him and try to do the best I could. But you cannot learn to play the guitar the way he plays in 3 months, 4 months. You can't.
It's like, come on, come check it out. Like, all right, I'll be there.
And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and we're getting ready to shoot. He's not there.
I showed up, you know, right away he's trying to fake this scene. Smelled funny to me. It smelled like a setup. I was like, okay. And then sure enough, here comes Greg, director, Gregory. He's like, well, why don't you just do it? Like, do what? You know, it's the part where you come in and you audition and you're gonna play for whatever. I'm like, oh, are you serious?
We put the, you know, wardrobe on his hands.
And we're like, okay, they're ready. So they're just shooting like from here, you know, to the end of the guitar, to where my hands are.
And he just did this incredible, incredible riff on the guitar.
And I did that. That was a one-take thing. It's off the top of my head. I was nervous as hell, but what are you gonna do? It's a bunch of people standing around you like, what do you got?
Now everybody comes up to me and they're like, wow, you're an amazing guitarist, man. I can't believe you play like that. That wasn't me, that was the real Chris.
A lot of the band members were on the set a lot of the time. So to relive them again, it was really hard and emotional.
I remember Edward James almost coming up to me and saying, you know everything, you know, and you gotta just throw it all away now. Just throw it away and just perform. And I was like, okay.
Every musical number, I wanted to be integrated into the drama and to reflect what the characters were going through emotionally and what Selena was going through emotionally at that particular time. And I decided that the culmination of her journey as a musical artist was this tremendous concert that she did just before she was killed at the Houston Astrodome, in which it was absolutely packed. And she got to sing, you know, disco, Donna Summer, which at the beginning of the movie she says when she's a little kid, I like Donna Summer, you know. And I thought that this would be the way to open the film so that we can see Selena at her height and then show how she got there. And we put it out in the newspapers that we were going to do this on the Alamo Dome, asking people to come. And we didn't know if anybody was going to show up. I mean, you just don't know. And 35,000 people came.
Who'd come to see Selena, and they did.
Well, if I'm not ready now, I'll never be.
It was incredible. The atmosphere was just, the emotion was so thick you could cut it.
Action! I remember it was the first time I was gonna perform in front of a group that size.
Truly one of the most extraordinary emotional moments of my career.
I knew there was a lot of anticipation. I didn't know how they were gonna receive me.
Just the feeling, you know, when the music came on and we're all in character, and we forgot that we were actors playing these people.
When she came out in that carriage and she got onto that stage and the music was playing and the lights were moving around the audience and the fans were cheering, it was so incredible.
I was in an archway with Selena's mother and sister as that dome turned around, and from that distance, Jennifer in the purple outfit. It was as though Selena, she was there.
I remember looking over at Abraham and Suzette at the side of the stage and just seeing them crying. And it was just this, you just got this sense that, you know, it was Abraham and Suzette standing there, and there was Marcella in the background, but Selena was everywhere.
And it was just overwhelming. The whole experience was overwhelming. And I was in tears, and the family was in tears, and the audience was in tears.
I remember many people coming up to me that night and just crying and, you know, you look so much like her, oh my God, I get goose pimples, and they'd start sobbing and they want to hug you. And then I'd have to go and do another take, you know what I mean? And so it was a lot.
I thought my job was hard, you know, playing Chris, but I had the luxury of actually being able to sit with Chris and hang out with Chris.
I mean, I was on stage with her. I knew exactly on what part of the song, how she was gonna do her finger, how she was gonna turn, how she was gonna smile, how closed her eyes would get when she would smile. I mean, Jennifer just studied it and nailed it. I mean, she nailed it down to the T.
She has that same drive that Selena had, and in a way, it's like they came together.
I started believing that Jennifer was Selena. I was like, until the end of the movie, then Selena comes out, and then you realize, okay, that's your sister, you know? Because it kind of plays tricks on your mind.
I think it's Jennifer Lopez's finest moment in film ever.
This one moment in the Alamo Dome was the moment in which the magic and the reality merged together for everybody.
After I saw the movie, it was a strange feeling. It was emotional, and it's just hard to describe in words.
It's hard for me to watch the movie as it is, but to watch the ending, it just kind of ruins it for me.
My main thing was the fact that I would look at it and I'd want to cry because I knew that she wasn't here.
Just talking about it, I mean, it kind of gives you a knot in your throat, you know what I'm saying? And
everybody felt a real need to do it right, you know, and I think that's why the movie is a special movie.
Late at night when all the world is sleeping, I stay up and think of you.
One of the most important things about the movie is how to deal with her death.
We all experienced everything up until that last scene. And when we're emotional and we're all crying, I mean, we were all crying.
We only shot it once. All the shots you see are one take, the first take, and that was it. We didn't repeat anything.
And it just worked. And it worked on the first take, and it was so real.
After we were done shooting it, I remember sitting in a makeup trailer, getting my makeup taken off, and I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop crying, and Edward James Olmos came in, and he was sitting next to me getting his makeup taken off, and he couldn't stop crying.
I was physically and emotionally drained, and yet I felt incredibly proud and inspired and motivated, and I just remember walking out of that hospital scene, you know, and walking over to Suzette and just hugging her and just crying. I mean, I cannot imagine what it's like to be them. And to live with that pain every day, because I lived with it for 4 months and it was brutal.
It was an experience where I learned that, you know, you never know what's gonna happen tomorrow. And you have to live for today. You have to tell people you love them today. You have to live in the moment.
There's never been a film that I've worked on where it was harder to say goodbye than working on Selena.
I think this story was important to tell because it really gives a great sense of understanding to an artist's life, and also brings about a great motivational factor to the people who watch it.
Anything is possible. With hard work and a commitment to a dream, life is not what you think. Life is what you believe.
Your dream, whatever dream that you do have, it is reachable.
But I think it was important to do it. I think that's why, more than anything, because she was such a positive role model.
My goal was to show the world what a wonderful person my daughter was.
And the most important thing to her was family and love. That was the most important thing to her.
I think that the fans, they kept it and are still keeping it alive to this day. So I just want to say thanks.